All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krueg Show with a little 49er camp preview. And check out Pig and a Pickle, the title sponsor of the Krueg Show. 2 locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin County, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. or until they run out. And don't forget, they're also in Emeryville, inside the Emeryville Public Marketplace, Wednesday through Sunday. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. All right, we're previewing the 49ers for training camp, position by position. And we are also counting down our 10 favorite New York style Italian sausage products. We'll give you our 4th favorite sausage product at the end of this video. But this video, let's talk a little bit about the Niner tight ends. Niners, last year ended partially because one of their tight ends could not block Hassan Reddick. And it was Tyler Croft in the playoffs. And it got Brock Purdy knocked out of the NFC Championship game. And it probably made Kyle Shanahan vow to improve the blocking at the tight end spot. And how many tight ends are the Niners going to keep? Are they going to keep 3? Are they going to keep 4? That's the question. George Kittle is an all-pro player. He's a Pro Bowl caliber tight end. He's one of the best tight ends in pro football. He's good as a receiver. He's good as a blocker. He's an all-around guy. He's a star. He was a 5th-round pick in 2017. He's now a veteran. But George Kittle's a hell of a football player, and everybody knows it. So he's the guy at tight end for the 49ers. Then there's Charlie Warner, who's 6'5", 241 pounds, 4th year out of Georgia. Special teams guy, had no catches in 2020, had no catches at all in 2022. And, he's a blocking tight end, but he's not a guy that uproots you out of the hole. He's more of a try-hard blocker. Then there's Cameron Latou, the rookie from Alabama, who was a 3rd-round draft choice. Doesn't have a lot of experience at tight end. Started at Bama as a defensive end, and they moved him to tight end. And so you have Willis, and you got Latou, and then you've got Charlie Warner, you got George Kittle. Then you have Ross Dwelly from the University of San Diego, who is a tremendous receiver, and a guy who's got great hands, very trustworthy, good player on special teams. And then Troy Fumagalli, the former Wisconsin tight end, is also in this camp. It's going to be a really interesting summer for the 49ers at tight end. I think this is going to be a phenomenal competition. Now, George Kittle joins Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. They comprise one of the best trios in the entire NFL. You look at that trio, though, of Ayuk and Kittle and Deebo, they combined for only 1 touchdown catch in the 3 playoff games last season. So Kittle is a tremendous player. I still think he's a true number 1 tight end. Dwelly is not a great blocker. So they drafted 2 guys. Latou is thought to be a really strong inline blocker with a strong lower half and a lot of power. And he's played very little football, only 2.5 years of football. So his upside is probably significant, but they're going to have to live with some mistakes. I can't believe they'll cut him if he shows anything this summer, because he was a 3rd-round pick. Then you got Braden Willis, who was given that gold helmet designation by the Niners, meaning they love him. And many of the things they love about Braden Willis don't really have to do with his football as much as his character. I mean, this guy is he's got tremendous football character, and I'm not saying they don't like him as a player. He's a really strong blocker, but he's like not quite a tight end size. He's like kind of a combo of tight end, fullback, H-back, specialist. But what he is he runs with unbelievable courage across the middle of the field. He has well above average hands. You cannot bring him down with a simple arm tackle. He's tenacious. He'll run through arm tackles. He fights for every yard. This guy brings 2nd effort, 3rd effort, 4th effort. He is really fun to watch. And I'll make a prediction. I think it'll be George Kittle as the number 1 tight end. And I'll predict that Braden Willis, the Niners' 7th-round pick out of Oklahoma, will emerge this year as the number 2 tight end. I think Latou is going to make the roster. So what does that mean? It doesn't sound like it's good news for Troy Fumagalli or Ross Dwelly. I think there's a chance the Niners will keep 4 tight ends, and in that case, Charlie Warner makes the roster. But it wouldn't surprise me if you've got a team that, like the Niners, who likes to keep 10 D linemen, has a lot of good running backs, a lot of good receivers, some really good young backup offensive linemen, a lot of guys they like to use in the secondary. They're really deep at linebacker. They're probably going to go with 3 quarterbacks. They may need a roster spot at the cutdown, and they might wind up going with 3 tight ends. And if indeed that is the case, that's going to be, in my mind, that's going to be George Kittle number 1, Braden Willis number 2, and Cameron Latou number 3. So I'm really interested to see how this whole thing shakes out. Latou's, really demonstrated in the minicamp that he's got some real potential to be an all-around tight end. Why? Because he's big and strong at the line of scrimmage and can really block. He's a little raw in his technique, but he's got huge blocking potential at the line of scrimmage. He's powerful, so he can uproot a defensive player out of the hole. He gives you more power at the point of attack than Charlie Warner does as a blocker. So there's a lot to like about Cameron Latou. And then you mix that in with the fact that they hit him a couple times down the field for some pretty big gainers in the team drills in OTAs. So he's got potential as a downfield threat, and he's got potential to be a real strength at the line of scrimmage. So Latou, I really think, is going to make this team. Then you've got Willis, who's a different kind of player. He's almost like a fullback, but he's such a good receiver, and he's such a great first, second, third, fourth, fifth effort kind of a player that he's a winning player. I mean, his just the way he goes about his business, you want every guy on your roster to play that hard. And I love the fact that Braden Willis, I think, is a ready-made guy that can contribute right away. I think he can help them as a blocker. I think he can help them as a receiver. I think he can really give them another guy in the middle of the field that can make plays opposite George Kittle. And I think you may see the Niners go to a 2 tight end set a little bit more. And I love the potential of George Kittle and Braden Willis. Now, I got to give this group probably a B- grade. Kittle's an A player, but the Niners may lean on Willis and Latou, both rookies. And they got to prove that they can play at this level, and they're in a largely unproven group. I like Warner as a try-hard blocker. Dwelly's got some talent as a receiver, but I'm pretty sure Dwelly and Fumagalli get cut. I would almost guarantee that it'll be Kittle, Latou, Braden Willis, 1, 2, 3, and maybe the incumbents, Warner, Dwelly, and Fumagalli, could be packing and going elsewhere. I see turnover at that tight end position this year. They're investing in the blocking, and I think it was the smart move. I really do. And after the way last year ended, you got to make sure that you're protecting your quarterback. And watching the tight end whiff on blocks was not something I'm sure the 49ers wanted to see any more of. And so they invested in 2 guys who can really block. So I think those guys wind up going to camp this summer and winning the job. All right, our fourth favorite New York style Italian sausage product is the Calabrese Italian sausage. It has a different spice mix than their typical Italian sausage. It's savory. These can be really, really good if you chop them up and put it into, a number of different recipes. But the Calabrese has a different spice mix, and it's a little bit different flavor sausage, but man, it is fantastic. They make it fresh daily. They make all of it fresh daily, but the Calabrese has a little bit different flavor. It's not a sweet sausage. It's definitely savory. It's not really a breakfast sausage. To me, it's more for like lunch, dinner. I think it's really good in sauce. Check out the Calabrese. It's my fourth favorite New York style Italian sausage product. And we thank New York Style for sponsoring the Krueg Show. All right, hope you enjoyed the camp video breakdown on the Niner tight end position. I am going to give them, once again, you got George Kittle, so you can't be too low of a grade. But I'm going to say B-, because there's a lot of unknowns about the rookies. And there's a lot to be concerned about as far as, is Warner a receiver at all? It seems like he's half a player. Is Dwelly a blocker at all? He seems like he's half a player. So I'll give him a B minus, an A for Kittle, probably a C for those other guys. And I got, B minus just because I think Latu and Willis are going to be upgrades from Warner and Dwelly. All right, that does it for our 49er camp preview position of the tight end spot. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krueg Show. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krueg Show on YouTube.